Writing a framework. Before I get to this term right here, I have a question. Where do you want to go to dinner tonight? McDonald's or KFC? Now, before we get into the specifics of what we know about McDonald's or KFC, I have a more important question. How do we want to make this decision? Do we want to pick the restaurant that's cheaper? Do we want to pick the restaurant that's cleaner? Do we want to pick the restaurant that has a nicer environment? Do we want to pick the restaurant that's closer to our house? These are all very important factors in this discussion. And we'll notice that that debate might change if we are choosing not between McDonald's and KFC, but what about McDonald's and Starbucks? Well, now we have a different question. What time of day is it? Do we want to have a breakfast? Do we want to have dinner? Do we want something that might be a little sweeter, a little more caffeinated? Or do we want to go for something maybe saltier, something with more meat? How much food do we want to eat? Are we eating breakfast, lunch, dinner? Are we eating a snack? Again, things to consider. How about this? What if we're choosing between McDonald's and a famous hot pot place? Well, now we have to decide between a very quick experience, very cheap experience, and a more expensive experience. A more expensive dinner that's going to take much longer to prepare, eat, and enjoy. And lastly, what if we're choosing between McDonald's and our favorite local pizza place? This is mine. I'm from when I grew up. In each case, how we make this decision changes drastically. Before we even get to specifics of what we know about each of these places, how we make this decision is very important. That is a framework. Frameworks are used in every decision we make. We use them throughout our day-to-day lives. You use a framework to decide what you're going to eat and when you're going to eat it. You use a framework to decide which homework you're going to finish tonight and when you're going to finish it. You use frameworks to decide what products you're going to buy. These are all critical in debate. We can't make a decision before we've decided how we're going to make it. Now, what does that have to do with debate? Imagine you're a judge. Well, if you're a judge, how do you decide which team has won the round? In general, there are specific things you look for: good evidence, good contentions, strong responses. But how do you decide which responses are better, which responses are more valuable, especially if the teams are relatively equal? This is where frameworks come in. More deeply, when we're deciding policies in government, what goals do we have? What goals do we hope to achieve? This is, again, essential in making good and smart decisions. These are a few examples of frameworks that we often use. So, let's say our goal is national security, that we believe the government should do whatever it takes to keep people safe. Well, if this is our goal, if this is what we ultimately want, that's going to lead us towards a specific set of decisions. It might lead us to say that citizens' phones should be wiretapped, that torture or extraordinary rendition is acceptable. Now, maybe that's not our main goal. Maybe our main goal is human rights, that government should protect human rights, the rights of the people. In which case, something like torture, something like extraordinary rendition is not going to be considered acceptable. Or maybe it's social equity, that the government should make sure that everyone is relatively equal. Well, again, that's going to lead us towards certain policies over others. Say, tax increases on the rich, or increased social welfare spending. And lastly, what if the goal is economic prosperity? Well, then maybe the government is going to support specific types of investment, specific types of funding of the economy. If we do not explain what these goals are and what these goals should be, There's no way, no easy way to decide which side is better, which arguments, which contentions, which position is better in a debate round. It ends up making the judge's decision much more complicated and much more difficult for you to control. It's much more difficult for a judge to decide which impacts are more important when it's unclear what goal they're hoping to achieve. This is where frameworks are essential. Consider these as you're writing your next debate case.